Welcome back from chapter 11. Link given in the description, as well as the link to chapter 1. And our illustration how the Scottish authorities are dictating that this historic church here at Holywood, Dumfriesshire, a church that houses the only remains of a Scottish Knights Templar presbytery, joins the growing rot of heritage in Scotland, and that its church bells, the world's only significant provenance Knights Templar artefacts. Two bells from a former 12th century Knights Templar presbytery engraved with the name of Lord William Le Riche, an early Scottish Templar master, objects of immense value and interest, historically, spiritually, and financially, are expected to be cast into the current dilapidation of the building at great risk to be lost to the public, to rot and ruin, potentially forever, unless my wife and I are successful in our campaign to expose the hypocrisy of those that pose as our history safekeepers, and have the site at Holywood publicly recognised for what it is, for what the original Georgian record and evidence say it is, rather than rely on the musings of a few mal-informed Victorian antiquarians and academia, who rather than audit these malformed musings have instead cemented questionable Victorian assumption, speculation and theory as fact. This is the first video since we uploaded the first 11 chapters of our story to YouTube a few weeks ago. So I want to take the opportunity to thank those that have viewed and liked our videos so far and subscribed to our channel. We have a long road to travel before the story is out there, generating wholesale public debate and discussion. So thank you for your contribution. So please like and share this video. Engage with us either through the comments to this video or via email. Join our campaign and seek an opportunity to share in the immense reward a successful crusade against the establishment will bring. Buy our book, available on Amazon. Sign our petition, link available through our website. And please buy me a coffee through the link given in the description to keep Digger and I going while we crusade to protect Scottish Christian history from Scotland's inept heritage governance and academia's passive belligerence, its deliberate avoidance of what it knows to be a genuine and far-reaching historical discovery. Let me be clear. At this point in our story, the Scottish authorities do not deny the extraordinary Knights Templar provenance of the Holywood bells. The authenticity of the bells' Knights Templar provenance is not in question, because there is absolutely no supportable argument or opinion presented by anyone to deny the bells' Templar provenance. Absolutely no one. And this includes those specialists referred by academia as the best to consider our discovery. This is because the discovery is supported by evidence that speaks for itself. William Le Riche is the only possible name engraved on the bells. He is declared to be in religious life a monk, the spiritual father of a convent, while he is declared a knight on medieval record, employed by the church as a knight cleric. William Le Riche is a soldier, a warrior monk, a master within a religious military order. This incontestable fact is not challenged by the authorities. Instead, the authorities declare the detailed history of the bells is not important in regard to their bureaucratic decision-making. Hence why my wife and I are facing legal action by the local authority with fines and imprisonment, because we chose to protect two of the most valuable bells both historically and financially in the world, by removing them temporarily from a dilapidated building, a property neither wind nor watertight, at risk, already vandalised. A building without any valid and workable conservation plan to ensure the bells and the property's sustainable protection. The authorities frame it differently. They narrowly define our actions as purely removing two medieval bells from a property protected under planning law. The authorities frame it this way with imprecision because they do not want to recognise the Knights Templar discovery because it would be tantamount to authenticating it. They stay clear of any statement or public declaration or assistance or even any meeting with Digger and I that would authenticate the discovery, not because internally they question the discovery, but because they regard the procedure for auditing history is in the sole gift of academia, despite academia's reluctance to audit its own current historical understanding or narrative. And as the authorities are too frightened to challenge the accepted route for any fundamental reinterpretation of the academically accepted historical record, they are prepared to sit back and deny Scotland's history rather than celebrate it. And so they ridiculously obstruct one of the most significant medieval finds ever made in Scotland, purely because it is made by members of the public. Two members of the public trained by academia, but who exist outside the academic establishment. The authorities do not care about Scotland's history. They are in fact tossing it away, along with the tremendous benefits the discovery would bring to Scotland. They would rather condemn the church and the bells of Holywood to remain in dereliction and bring Scotland into disrepute for spitting on its own history, rather than allow truth to direct its actions. The heritage sector recognises there is an absence of robust objective historical audit, that the existing historical record is outdated, a product of a past age where theory and speculation were the tools employed by Victorian antiquarians rather than comprehensive and competent research. This lack of audit is a fundamental problem, a problem no one has resolved, yet is a problem everyone recognises, including Historic Environment Scotland, the government's lead heritage agency, who confirmed this year to the Scottish Government, after 5 years of denial, what many academics and professional historians had already confirmed to us in our 5-year trawl across the history and heritage sector. That the only route to fundamentally change the accepted historical understanding of any site or artefact shaped by academic publication or opinion is for academia itself to present any revised understanding via a regarded academic source through peer review. However, Historic Environment Scotland, like so many other heritage bodies and professional historians recognise, reality dictates that even presentation by academia in peer review will not necessarily alter the record, because consensus is rarely achieved amongst history academics, especially between different academic institutions. And is graphically demonstrated by the leading Knights Templar historian and the lead curator from National Museum Scotland, who both reviewed our discovery, many academics will flatly refuse to challenge the existing academic narrative, no matter how ridiculous, illogical, or incorrect it is, because to do so would undermine a great deal of existing academic work and publication. Thus, truth is abandoned in favour of protecting prior academic thought. It appears the academic's credibility is far more important to academia than the subject the academic is supposed to study and illuminate, which in fact makes the academic an absolute contradiction in terms of selfless and constructive education. This reluctance to challenge existing academic narrative in turn influences many academically tuned professional historians existing within the history and heritage sector, filling the sector in fact with bad historians, indoctrinated by poor academic behaviour. The definition of what makes a good and bad historian in context of our work here at Holywood is a topic we will cover in another video. However, thankfully, there is a Scottish History Society that openly acknowledges the problem of academic corruption of the public's understanding of history. A society that challenges academia's theft of the keys to history to justify its own existence. A society that recognises the importance of the public's involvement in understanding and the research of its own local history. A body of individuals passionate about researching, understanding and promoting Scotland's past. A body of amateur enthusiasts supported by established and emerging researchers, heritage specialists, and even professional historians and academics. The Society of Antiquaries of Scotland, established in 1780. In many ways, the Society presents us with a paradox, because it is often the past historic record, publication and interpretation created by the Society's fellows that presents a problem regarding the accuracy of our history. It was this understanding created by fellows of the Society that was adopted by academia when it took over historical study at the end of the 19th century. The historical narrative created by fellows of the Society was used to underpin academic work that academia so ardently defends today, despite any obvious flaws. Of course, the Society is not responsible for the publications and musings of its past fellows. However, one could argue the Society has a moral responsibility to get involved if one of their fellows causes a grave historical misjustice, as is the case of the Holywood church bells. So with that in mind, Digger and I hoped the Society would get involved to assist in what way they could. Digger and I are not fellows of the Society, but we did have an immensely important discovery as independent researchers, and as such hoped to be engaged, helped and advised by the Society, encouraged perhaps to become fellows because of our work, or supported as competent individuals who had demonstrated great merit regarding the research and understanding of the heritage in our care. Important Scottish heritage and history, not trivial reconsideration, but bridging a fundamental gap in the historical record, a discovery not for overlooking. So how did the Society of Antiquaries of Scotland react to our petitions, our requests for assistance? We were ignored, not once or twice, but several times. Our petitions acknowledged only in one instance, but never followed through. I ask you, why should that be? Why do you think we never received a single response from the Society and to our letters to its director? It certainly could not be because we presented spurious theory and speculation, thinly derived evidence and consideration. But even if we did, as a public inquiry, a response should be expected. Do you not agree? One scan of our report would tell the reader that there was likely to be a great deal of substance in our research, and considering we presented something extraordinary in terms of Scottish history, we expected their fair and prudent consideration. Our petition should have had a particular resonance with the Society, as there was an important project the Society was involved with. A project to survey historic churches at risk. A project to ensure the cultural and historic value and understanding of these churches was not lost in the Church of Scotland's rationalisation of its failing organisation. In fact, the Society, through the involvement in the project Research in Action on Church Heritage, had requested data and people's own research on heritage and artefacts in their care from churches all over Scotland to populate its database. We contacted the project's lead manager, as Digger and I regarded Holywood Church as a graphic example why it was very important to have a comprehensive understanding of the cultural and historical value of any church and its contents, so future plans and sustainability of former churches were fit for purpose. But we were again ignored, cancelled out. Without any engagement offered by the Society, I can only offer speculation and opinion why we should be so rudely ignored. The reality is the Society followed the same pattern as every other Scottish heritage and history focused institution. They deliberately ignored and avoided our requests for assistance. The Society, through its management, slithers under the same rock as Historic Environment Scotland, the local council and academia to avoid any engagement with our research or the discovery. But why? If our discovery was spurious, supportable counter-argument or a polite deferment could have easily been offered. But we presented nothing but solid research and a conclusion built on evidence and fact. Everyone outside the heritage establishment confirmed that. So what was so errant in our presentation that sent the Society of Antiquaries of Scotland scurrying under a rock? Only the Society can say. It is clear, however, the Society's mission statement, like so many mission statements offered by the heritage sector in Scotland, is simply bombast, empty rhetoric from an organisation that perhaps seeks only to survive in the current academically influenced heritage sector rather than challenge it or improve it or make any real difference at all. The Society, instead of taking the opportunity to promote and enhance the public's involvement in the care for its own history and heritage, the opportunity to arrest public disinterest that Digger and I have so graphically experienced here at Holywood, the Society is simply part of the problem. There is only an illusion of care for the truth of history and very little merit regarding its promotion. All is superficial, maintained by bad historians. I would like to respectfully challenge those who are fellows of the Society to speak up on the Society's behalf, in context of the Holywood case study we offered up to the Society, as this affair is an appalling stain on the integrity and competence of the Scottish heritage sector, of which the Society is a part. But before you engage with us, read our research first, so you're not tempted to respond with subjective opinion. I also would like to hear from those who are in a similar position to Digger and I, those that are custodians of old churches in Scotland. I would like to hear your views on how the Scottish establishment either helps or hinders your commitment to the church in your care. I would like to hear from those who are on the receiving end of the Research in Action on Church Heritage project. And if you consider it is a project directed for the benefit of the heritage and church in your care, and if so, if you can see a positive outcome. Or is it something else? I applaud any project that seeks to safeguard our heritage discarded through institutional failure. Projects that dynamically help safeguard heritage sustainability. But allow me to be cynical, as my own pessimism is very well qualified. Is a project just another heritage talking shop? A project that only pragmatically benefits those it employs? Because who is going to use the data it produces when there is no competent heritage sector in Scotland to either correctly assess the heritage in the first instance or deliver any positive outcome? Some academic and professional historians, defending their colleagues' reluctance to get involved with our discovery, suggested if our discovery was less significant, that is, not involving the Knights Templar, then the response from the authorities and academia may have been different. That is, maybe it is the Knights Templar connection that has caused the heritage sector to run away to avoid it, because it does not want to involve itself with Templar history or discovery, because there is so much speculation and sensationalism surrounding it. So in the next video, chapter 13, the number 13 highly relevant to the Knights Templar legend, and in context of the Templar site here at Holywood, I will discuss some of the taboos in the subject that has perhaps sent so many scurrying to hide from the Knights Templar legend, lest they be burned by its ethereal glow. See you next time.